Are you kidding me? You're still here? Fantastic! Welcome to video number 3 of the Student Leadership Challenge Experience. Once again, I am Joe Urbanski with Collegiate Empowerment. We have already focused on model the way, inspire a shared vision. It's now time to challenge the process. I'm so glad that you're here and you can put up with me, Bald Guy Joe. Let's get started. So this is Challenge the Process, and what Challenge the Process is really about is not challenging every process, but it's challenging the process so that we can continue to innovate and grow. So let's dive in. Let's figure out what is the commitments. Search for opportunities by seizing the initiative and looking outward for innovative ways to improve, and experiment and take risks by constantly generating small wins and learning from experiences. So let's break each of these down now. The first commitment, search for opportunities by seizing the initiative. That means don't wait. Many times, I'm not going to say all the time, but many times it's better to beg for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. Disclaimer, not all the time. There are many times where you're going to get in deep trouble for doing that. But sometimes it's good just to take the initiative, to seize the opportunity by seizing initiatives. Search for the opportunity by seizing initiative and look at, again, I'm not a reader, and looking outward for innovative ways to improve. How can we find new and better ways to do what we do faster, better, stronger, longer, create that legacy, if you will. And then secondly is experiment and take risks. We might not get it right on the first try, so we've got to experiment and take risks. They don't have to be huge risks. You don't have to be a risk taker to take risks. Basically what it means is there are people who love to take risks, and you could be mid-sentence and they'll say yes to you. Then there are other people who have to analyze it. They have to calculate the risk. They're analyzing it to death, right? And that's okay too. Both work, and there is no wrong answer. So experiment and take risks by constantly generating small wins. That's seeing what's working well, and as soon as you make a little bit of progress, celebrate. That's great. Focus on progress, not perfection. And learning from experiences. Here's a great question to ask whenever you've got a challenge, a frustration, something that's not going well, is what else could this mean? Or what am I learning from this? Or better yet, how is this a good problem to have? These are the commitments of Challenge the Process. Now let's dive in. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. This comes from Henry Ford. Didn't really do much. I mean, he just created the first motor car ever, Ford. Kind of ring a bell maybe, right? Henry Ford, yeah, big deal. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got, which basically means do something different. If you haven't figured out what you're good at yet, you haven't done it yet. Do something different. If you haven't figured out what you love more than anything, then you haven't experienced it. Experience more. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. I know it's a little bit of a tongue twister, but it's such a good truth that challenges us to do something different. Fail frequently, fail fast, but fail forward. Think about it. It's okay to fail. In fact, there really is no such thing as failing. If you could look at every failure as just the result that you didn't want, you'll be in a good place. Think Albert Einstein, think Thomas Edison, think any inventor who has tried to do something more than once. I mean, Thomas Edison, for example, so the story goes, his friends have asked him, how could you fail 1,000 times at creating the light bulb? He said, my friends, I didn't fail 1,000 times at creating the light bulb. I only found 1,000 ways that didn't work. How many ways did he need that worked? Just one. But when's the last time you have given up after 2 or 3 tries? I know I've done it, right? But that's like trying to teach kids. Again, I've got 2 kids, you know this by now. I've got 2 kids. It's like trying to teach my kids to ride a bike without training wheels. And as soon as they fall off, you say, okay, I guess you're not going to be a bike rider. We can't do that. I can't do that. So fail frequently. Do it quickly. Do it often. Fail fast and fail forward. Make sure that you're moving, making progress through your failures, right? It's okay to take 2 steps back as long as we keep taking a step forward. We will ultimately get there. Let's take a lot of steps forward. Let's fail forward. Challenge the process to fail forward. The best ideas come from outside the box, point blank, right? I know there's the cliche, think outside the box, but most of the ideas come from inside the box. The best ideas come from outside the box, and they don't have to be huge ideas. They can be small ideas. Have you ever made a small decision that has impacted you in such a large way? Think about it. You make a small shift, a small decision, and you take that out over the long run, and that becomes a huge, monumental shift in your life. The best ideas come from outside. They come from checking in, asking questions, trying new things, experimenting, taking risks. Build a culture in your team, your organization, your club, wherever. Build a culture that agrees to challenge the process and not punish productive mistakes. So think about that for a moment. You can't just define your organization by always doing things the way they've done before. If you do that, then you'll always get what you've always got. And that is unfortunately how many organizations and teams work. But if you can, for a moment, begin to build a culture, which takes time, but begin to build a culture where it is okay to challenge the status quo. It's okay to challenge the process. It's okay to learn from our mistakes and our productive failures, right? Not the ones that cost us billions. I know that's not the budget you're working with, right? But it's okay to learn from these mistakes. Build that culture. But don't challenge for the sake of challenging. Don't challenge everything until you've earned the right. What I mean by that is don't join a new team and immediately start changing everything. You can't. It's not going to work. They're not going to allow it. They're not going to want it unless they are electing you so that you can change things. So don't challenge for the sake of challenging. Don't challenge just because I said grab your hammer and challenge the process. Challenge out of necessity. Challenge out of innovation. Don't challenge everything. Challenge the process. Now I want to take you through a little experience here. I want you to imagine one moment in your life where you have challenged the process. One thing. You know what? In fact, close your eyes right now. I promise I won't touch you. But imagine yourself in an experience that you've been in the past. So get comfortable in your seat or standing, walking, wherever you are. With your eyes closed, imagine this. Imagine a big goal of yours. In some way, shape, or form, you challenged the process. What are two things that you did in challenging that process? So first you've got to imagine the challenge. What was the thing that you did? What was the challenge? And what are two specific actions that you took as a part of challenging the process? And what ultimately happened? What are three outcomes? Three things that changed as a result, because it's usually never just one thing. So one, what is the challenge? Two, what are two things that you specifically did? And three, what are three things that happened as a result of you challenging the process? And hopefully you're thinking of something positive and empowering and encouraging, not I challenged the process and shit went to the fan, right? What worked when you challenged the process? Think about that right now in your mind. It could have been a tough conversation. It could have been a big goal. It could have been anything. What happened as a result? What was the trickle-down effect? What was the ripple effect? All right. You made a small shift, a small challenge, and over time it became this huge shift. What is that for you? Can you think of something? Maybe two or three things. That's how this works. So when you challenge the process, keep in mind what are the specific actions that you must take in order to move things forward, and also think about what are the consequences. Positive and negative, like what's going to happen as a result of you challenging the process. Right? Because here's another way that we can look at it. We've got a sphere of influence, and there are certain things that are within your control, and you can change them no matter what. You can change what time you wake up in the morning, you can change what you're eating, you can change if you're paying attention to somebody. It's in our sphere of control, right? Then there are things that are within our influence. We don't have complete control, but we have influence over that. Not manipulation. Manipulation means you've got bad intentions and you're going to cause people to do things for the wrong reasons. But influence, where you've got good intentions and you cause people to do things for the right reasons. So you've got things that you can control, things that you can influence, and then there's things that just happen by chance. Let those go. Don't focus on those. Don't focus on the things that might happen. Focus on the things that you can make happen. Positive influence that move us towards that shared vision so that we can ultimately model the way for the people in our organization and the teams that we're a part of, right? You got a lot of goals out here. Imagine what happens if you try to achieve goals that only happen not because of you, but by chance. For example, I'm going to win $1 million by playing the lottery. It's chance. That's not a goal. It's a hobby, right? But what are the things that you can control and what are the things that you can influence? That's where we challenge the process. So let's now take a little deep dive into the behaviors. Challenge skills and abilities. How can you continue to grow and get better? How can the people on your team or organization, club or group or relationship, let's challenge ourselves to grow and to learn from each other and learn with each other. Let's help others try out new ideas. That's what a great leader does, is they create other leaders. So help them try out some new ideas. Search for innovative ways to improve. Sometimes that's by asking someone outside of your group, how can we do this differently? Getting a mentor, asking for feedback from somebody you normally wouldn't ask for. Ask, what can we learn? How is this a good problem to have? What's different? What's better? Another behavior, break projects into smaller, doable portions. Challenging the process isn't always easy. If I were to say, hey, how do you eat an elephant? You have to first murder it. That's not where I'm going with this. I'm sorry how this is coming out. But if you were to eat something huge, okay, a huge pancake, you have to cut it up and eat it in pieces, right? Same thing with an elephant. If you were going to eat an elephant, don't eat an elephant, but you have to eat it in chunks, right? You're going to eat a huge pancake this big. You got to cut it up. You're not going to be able to stuff that whole thing in your mouth, right? So break projects up into smaller, doable portions where you can celebrate the journey along the way, and then take initiative in experimenting. So don't be the only person that does this, but encourage others to also take initiative while they experiment. And these are the behaviors of challenging the process. So first, model the way, inspire shared vision, challenge the process. I am so grateful that you've been through 30 videos. We are more than halfway through. We've got 2 left. The next one will be focusing on enabling others to act and then encouraging the heart, which is so important. So let's make sure we keep at it. We keep getting through it. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next video.